Good morning, everybody. It's King Ray Vet. I used to do that on my YouTube channel as a greeting after I saw Black Panther for the first time. God, I was jazzed about that film. I had no idea what I was going to see. None. And when I showed up, I went with a group of guys. And when I showed up, they all looked at me like, okay, like, where's your costume? I said, what costume? I mean, I had no idea what the Black Panther was about. I'm not a cartoon specialist kind of a guy. I did not. I saw cartoons when I was younger, but I wasn't an aficionado that stayed in the cartoon world. I watched cartoons on TV, but that was about it. But anyway, when I saw the Black Panther, I was jazzed. I was so stoked, and for years I did that greeting on YouTube. So I'm gonna bring it back over here on Substack. Did I say my name already? Anyway, you know what it is. It's running along the bottom or the top or wherever the heck it runs on these recordings. But listen, I'm going to attempt to talk about a topic that I can't say I'm well versed about. I'm very well inundated about it, but I'm not well versed about it, and that is manhood. And um, the reason why it was a post that I saw earlier about why men, a question, why men are not protecting women who are getting insulted by the asshat in chief in Washington, D.C. And there's several reasons why. A lot of them are afraid for their job that if they if they fight back, if they say something to the asshole, um, they'll get fired immediately, and they probably will. But what is it costing them to just sit there and watch this guy do this to women, to anybody really? He attacks everybody, but men in general right now are not protecting shit. And I don't understand that. I don't know what's going on, but especially when DJT attacks women the way that he does. You can tell this guy he is so intimidated by powerful women, any kind of woman. He has to try to knock them down to his size, which is, I should say, way down here somewhere. Um, because he's not bright, he's not intelligent, he's not anything that he claims these women to be and attacks them with it. Like talking about IQ, that guy's IQ is probably under 100. 100 is average. So he's probably somewhere around 30. And anyway, it makes no sense to me how they can sit there and allow this to happen. But let me go back in time a little bit and talk frankly with you about this topic because listen, I have only been actively paying attention to my masculinity since around 2015, 2015. And um, that's when I began to be very studious about manhood and what all it entails for my personality type for me. I don't care what other men do. It's who I choose to be as a man in this country. Now, I made the mistake of looking up the word. I swear it has been changed. You can see the patriarchy all over some of these definitions. So I'm looking at them, looking at them, looking at them, and you know what? I clicked the wrong thing coming in here because I can't share my screen with this particular uh this particular version of record. I can't share my screen, but some of the definitions were just retarded, and of some of them fit in line with what they're trying to do to erase trans people in the United States. Um, so one of them said manhood was about having the genitalia of men. The fuck does that have? That may be what a man is, but it's not what manhood is, which entails a great deal more than physical characteristics. Come on, I mean, they could say that men are only involved in manhood when they have a beard, facial hair, or if they have a 6 inch dick versus a 4 inch. I mean, they could get really ridiculous with that word, and it still doesn't entail manhood, which is the practicing of being a man. Okay, it's the mechanics behind manhood, behind men, and so anyway, so I'm very odd in that way because most of my comrades, most of the people that I came along with that were doing the virtually the same thing at the same time that I was, were not paying attention to what it is to be a man. In fact, they were running from it, very much so. And a lot of them chose to blend in with all other men to make it look like they've been men their entire lives. And they called that being stealth. In other words, people didn't know that that they were trans. And um, to me, that's a chicken shit way out. I cannot be friends with somebody if they don't know where I'm coming from. I cannot. It just goes against my grain. It goes against being honest and forthcoming. Now there are situations where I don't. I'm discreet. I'm always discreet. I don't walk around with shit on my forehead telling people who and what I am. Um, but listen, so I studied men. I was all over the internet. I was watching behavior. I was watching imitation of their voice. I was watching a lot of things about manhood to develop the man in me because I have been years and years and years without that uh, inherent training. And so, but it was very interesting because I had never been around a group of men who I was just one of them and they talked freely without women in the room. Men say some pretty outrageous things about themselves, about other people, about women. And these days, also, there's a little bit of controversy over whether you should protect a woman who is not your woman. Okay, because they can get killed fucking around with somebody else's woman. But I say, in the case of watching a woman get verbally assaulted or abused, not acceptable. And I don't care if that's my woman or not. I am going to defend her. I wouldn't last 1 week in that press corps. They could never get me to sit still and not say anything to that butthead when he's abusing women. Now, there are certain words in English that I will use because I'm a word guy and I don't give a fuck about calling somebody a name. I know there is a whole culture that is coming up that thinks that that's ill form, that is unfair, or whatever the hell they think it is. That's not me. I am a boomer. I wasn't raised to be fucking fragile about words. There are certain words that'll cause me to fight. There are a lot of things that will cause me to fight. And one of the definitions of manhood or masculinity or hypermasculinity was a pre what did they say? Predisposition to violence. So any man telling you that he doesn't believe in violence, I don't know what to say about those men because it's a rite of passage when you are a boy. A lot of boys get in a lot of fights uh, over. They're definitely preoccupied with being dominant, to be being dominant over one another. Um, and it is definitely a rite of passage. In order for you to get a bully off your tail, you got to knock his fucking ass out. Now, see, I would. That's one reason why I would get kicked out of the press corps because I would knock that. I would slap him silly for doing what he's doing to women, and especially black women. Oh, he just loves to attack them. I couldn't sit by and watch that. And I'm having a very hard time sitting by and watching this entire fucking country get abused. And I'm pissed off that men aren't pissed off enough to fight. It's bullshit. Look at history. Where in history have you ever seen change happen without it? Oh, I know you like to try to sound like, oh, I would never be violent, blah, blah, blah. You fucking liar. Okay? Um, when you're in the military, you're trained to do it. So there are a lot of veterans out there who I don't care if they believe in it or not, it happens. And sometimes it's necessary. And I'm maybe I'm hyper masculine, maybe, I don't know. All I know is when I was studying men and when I was deciding what kind of man I wanted to be or what kind of man I already was and just had to step into it, um, was that we are the protectors of the planet. Um, and there are certain jobs and careers that are predisposed to men that you don't see women flocking to go do. I mean, they may say everything's equal, but it's not. Physically, women can't do the job. Physically, I can't do the jobs that most men that protect our infrastructure around the world can do. Large beams and just all sorts of stuff. You'd have to be a really, really, really strong female to be able to lift half of that shit that needs to be lifted in order to do those kinds of jobs. Women can be paid equally, but anybody trying to convince me that men and women are the same, they're lying too. I don't know who they're trying to fool, but they're not the same. They're not treated the same. We don't talk to each other the same. Um, Women don't talk the same when men are in the room, and men don't talk the same when women are in the room. It's very clear to me what happens in those particular scenarios. Isn't it clear to you? Um, but let's go back to this women protecting, I'm sorry, men protecting women and men protecting other people, period, that are less, uh, that are more powerless than they are. What is going on in this country? Men, I want to know what the hell you're thinking. Who are you emulating to be pussyfooting around with these violent fucking people? You know, I was watching the crap happen in New Jersey around that concentration camp. And I was watching very closely to see how the men behaved in that crowd. And they were cussing people out, but they weren't exerting any power or control or dominance in those situations. So they're still not willing to go to jail for the way that they're protesting, which is that's the kind of civil unrest that is necessary, by the way. Um, Calling people names is not doing anything but calling people's names. It's not civil unrest. It's not literally causing a situation where they're overpopulating the jails. But see, there's a different situation going on with these concentration camps. They don't take them to jail, they take them right into the camp that they're protesting outside of. But only a few ended up in that situation where they were rowdy enough to get carted off to jail. But listen, we can't reinvent the wheel of humanity. It's already been written, it's already been executed, it's already been so many things that there's no way that that men, especially white men, can emulate what we did, what black men and women had to do in the 60s. That cannot be emulated. You know why? We had no power, we had no weapons, we had nothing to defend ourselves with. Haven't you noticed that when black people defend themselves in this country, they call it being aggressive? They call it more of a crime. I forgot that young man who just went to prison for 35 years for defending himself against four white boys in a tent during some football game or something. What kind of game was it? I don't know. Basketball, football. When we defend ourselves, we get in far more trouble than when white people defend themselves. So what's going on with you white boys, white men? You know you can get away with a hell of a lot more than what that poor kid did trying to defend himself. You're not defending yourselves in this nation, and you're not defending other people in this nation. That's why black people aren't out there in droves. Because we know you won't defend us if the cops or whoever the powers to be, ICE, cops, military, whoever, if they come after us, you will not defend us. And what is that about? You'll defend your sister, you'll defend your mother, you'll defend the women in your family, and you'll defend the women that you're married to, going with, whatever. You'll defend them, but it's hands off everybody else? Hmm. How do you think the French Revolution was going to go if they did it that way? Hmm? How do you think any revolution ever went down that way? Where all you do is protect that little small circle of people that you think you're responsible for. Maybe it's a matter of responsibility. Men are responsible, boys are not. And maybe we've got a whole bunch of fucking boys running around in men's bodies who think that they're not responsible for anything except that little small circle of people. You know, I'm a protector of the world. Anything happens around me, I'm on it. Okay, I've said this before, but I'm going to bring it up again about the woman who was being uh, treated badly at the VA after she checked into the psych ward. She put out a message on Facebook, and I saw it, and she was in distress. I could tell she was in distress. You know, it's only written words. She didn't make a video. She couldn't from inside that hospital. But it happened to be in my area, and I happened to have met her. And I did not know her personally. We weren't friends or anything, but I saw she was in distress. And I jumped in my car and went straight down there by myself and went from department to department to department until I ended up in the director's office. And I told them if they continued mistreating her in the psych ward, that I would bring every television station I could find into that place. And I was livid. I was not nice. I was not trying to kiss any ass. I wasn't being tactful. I wasn't being anything but protective of that woman. That hell no, not on my watch. Are they going to abuse somebody in the psych ward? What were they trying to do? Push her over the edge so that they'd find her having have committed suicide in her fucking room? Not on my watch. So by the time I went straight to her floor, and they slammed the door in my face. The guy opened the door, and I said, "I hear you have so and so in here, and that you're mistreating her. I got something to say to you." And he slammed the door in my face. So then I went down to the patient advocate's office, and I was yelling at them, and they were like, "Well, do you have power of attorney?" I said, "I don't need power of attorney." I was standing there, I was sitting there when she yelled out and cried out on Facebook. That's all I need. And you better stop mistreating her. And then the guy was going in circles and going in circles and going in circles. And I said, "You know what? You're not going to do anything, are you?" But I tell you what, by the time I leave this VA today, somebody's going to do something. Have a good day. And I got up and went to the director's office, and I sat there for 30 minutes before somebody would see me. But see, I wasn't deterred. I wasn't a punk. I wasn't a pussy about making sure that woman got treated correctly as a veteran of the United States. No way was I. And I was the only one that went there. I'm sure I'm not the only one that saw it. But, as the cookie crumbled, I happened to be in the area, and I happened to, get in my car. It was half an hour away, but still I went. So I went to the director's office, and I told them what I told them. And I said, I'm going to be back over here tomorrow. And if she doesn't give me a good report, I am going to bring the TV stations into this VA. And they're going to have to interview those employees that are working in that particular section of the VA to find out what they're doing to her and why. And I got up and left. And oh, you know what? I did tell this story when I was being interviewed by Evie, Evie Bateman. Um, mm, Sorry, I'm telling it again, but it was a proud moment for me because I rose to the occasion, and that wasn't always. Well, I can't say it wasn't my nature because I've done it before. I've chested up the guys, and look, I'm a little guy. I'm 5'5", 135 pounds, soaking wet. I'm not a big guy. But I'm big in stature. I don't care how big or small I am. I'm still gonna chest up to whoever the fuck I want to. And they may look at me like, "Are you crazy, man? I could beat you to a pulp." That's not the point. Is it, men? Do you really look at a guy? Well, maybe you do look at a guy that's 2 times your size and go, maybe not. But I have never been that way. Because, as tall as they are, I can punch them in the kneecap, check out. Anyway, um, I just can't believe that men seem to be missing their balls in this country lately. Probably the last 10 years. They just aren't responding to the occasion. They aren't stepping up and being men about their business, about how they behave in this country, what their values are, what their morals are, what their principles are. Follow them and defend the nation. You don't have to be in the military to know how to do that or even know what it is. I'm absolutely sure you don't. But anyway, as I was studying men, I became aware of these kinds of things. And and it was easy for me to step into that because it was already my nature to begin with. I just didn't know why my nature was going against the way that I looked in the past. Um, I was supposed to make a video about that interview I did with Evie, but that see, I forgot. I don't know where the paperwork. I had a bunch of notes, little one-liner notes that I was going to be speaking from. It's in here somewhere. I'll just have to find it. Um, yeah, it's down there somewhere. So, oh, here it is. Huh. So I've always been feisty, and at the same time, I've also recognized my privilege and my responsibility as a man for children, for women, for young people, for BIPOC people, for anybody really. And what is going on right now that white men seem to think they don't have to do that. Now, black men don't are laying low because they know they're going to get beat up and shot and imprisoned first. With white men probably standing by going like this. They'll let it happen the same way they're letting asshole be a jerk to women in public on national TV. He's such a fucking baby. He's so the opposite of what I would consider manhood to be. He's a little boy. He's not, and he's going backwards as he gets older. Um, Not my idea of a man who is practicing in his masculinity and manhood. Um, Being dominant and stealing from everybody, and he takes credit for other people's accomplishments and creations, and he doesn't take credit for making mistakes, and he doesn't take credit for screwing up this country. He doesn't care. Now, that's not what a man is either, is it? Does it say manhood equal don't care about nobody but yourself and your family members and your loved ones? That's it? That's it. Hmm. That's not my understanding as I've studied it. Um, and I studied it by watching a variety of different men, different black men. Okay, because I'm black. So I have to measure up to that idea of being a man in this country. Or not measure up, but I have to, if I don't want to get my ass kicked, I have to do what black men do. Um, but how long? Oh, okay. Oh, I've been talking a little while. So, gee, even watching Black Panther and the way that guy moved around, hell, the way Killmonger moved around, the way men typically move around societies across the world is not this punk ass shit that I've been seeing lately. I'd say for the last 10 years. I'd say since the idiot popped his head up the first time. It's all of a sudden something changed, something shifted, and not for the better. Not for the better. Um, if this country was full of a bunch of men, they would have taken them by now. They would have marched in there and dragged that motherfucker out and all his sycophants. Maybe them first, because they can't get to the president because of the Secret Service. But those other ones don't have Secret Service with them. What's wrong with the men in this country? You know, my father was my role model. Hmm. He didn't shy away from a good punch. He didn't shy away from that kind of thing on the ball field. And people would rush that mound and fight in the middle of the ball field. Both benches empty out. And a lot of that is driven by testosterone, folks. It's part of being a man. It's in your blood. It's just in there. You get triggered or sparked by something, and boom, it's on. So I'm not promoting violence. I'm saying it's part of life. It's part of being a human male. It is. And you can shy away from it all you want to in order to look good to the ladies, in order to sound like you're a gentle giant, in order to sound like you wouldn't harm a flea when you would. Why do you think they call us when a woman is scared in the house? What was that? You don't leave it to her to go see what it was, do you? Oh, if you do, I'm gonna call you what you are. I'm gonna call you what you are. Don't bunk out and let your woman go see what it is. But why do you think that is? Because they know we will fight for them. Whatever it is that we heard, they heard, whatever's in the house, we will fight. Um, there's other such instances uh, in this country, and I can't say it happens like that around the world, but I bet it does. Um, because typically men are the bigger, the stronger, and capable of shit fighting off big animals, unlike women who aren't as big or strong. When I first started taking testosterone, I built muscle so fast it was scary. And then all my weight was redistributing, and I was strong and muscular. Of course, after 10, 11 years of this, I've lost all of that muscle. But I can gain it back extremely quickly if I start working out again. My hands grew bigger. My feet grew bigger. I grew like a half an inch because of my age. I mean, people that, uh, AFABs that start taking testosterone younger in life, they actually can grow quite a bit taller. Um, I don't know why it does that, but it does. And you'll have to excuse my gruffy. I'm trying to let my beard grow, and it's all uneven, but it looking scruffy, isn't it? Yeah. Um. Anyway, that's what I came on here to talk about, was my version, I suppose, of what manhood is about. And it's about practicing the rite of passages and everything that boys go through from the time they're born. Why does it seem like boys are more rambunctious than little girls? Why are they willing to take more risks, physical risks, than little girls? It must be part of their bloodstream or DNA or something. It's part of being a male in society. Um, and what around the world, really, boys are just different than girls. And that's okay. We've got to make these differences okay. It's not going to do you any good to try to make men like women, to try to make women like men, try to make black people like white people, trying to make white people like black people, trying to force these differences in people to your comfort zone to look more like you. Stop that. Women, stop that. Stop making men feel embarrassed and uncomfortable to be men. And men, stop making women uncomfortable to be women. Okay? They've got estrogen in their blood. They're going to cry. They're going to do things that men don't do. Don't make that a error or something negative. It's a positive. They're the nurturers of the world. Okay? None of us would be here without women. And without women, and okay, some men can have babies, but none of us would be here if it wasn't for them. So they're worth preserving, and they're worth making it okay for them to culturally be different. It's okay for BIPOC people to be culturally different. Not bad, different. It's okay. And where we lost that, uh, I don't say fact, but wherever that got lost, it needs to be found again. That it's okay to be different. It's okay. That's why these MAGA idiots are running around trying to make everybody white or get rid of everybody who's not and get rid of everybody who doesn't, uh, who's different from them. Be they gay, trans, what the fuck ever. They want to get rid of everybody and only have white, heterosexual, cisgender men and women in this left in this country. Oh, it's going to be a shitty ass country without all of us. I tell you that. And they better stop eating the different food too. Then, don't go out and talk shit about Mexicans, and then you see them in a Mexican restaurant. Like, what the hell? Or they'll talk crap about Asians, and you'll see them in a Chinese restaurant. You'll see them in some kind of Asian restaurant. If you're gonna hate them all the way. Stop this bullshit looking like hypocrites. What is that? So, so that's all I've got tonight. Well, this morning, and then hopefully I can. I've got a doctor's appointment later today. Hopefully, I can get enough sleep to after I try to upload this, and it'll go to YouTube, and I got to go over there and doctor it up a little bit. But I hope people got something out of this little talk. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying half the time. I'm an old man, cantankerous as hell. Don't give a fuck about your feelings. I mean, I do care a little bit, but not much. And that's not because I'm a man. It's because I'm black. That I have given up on y'all's fragility. Crap. I don't care if I puncture your ego. If I managed to puncture it, it needed to be punctured. I've had my ego punctured plenty of times, and I didn't scream and yell bloody murder because it happened. I just took it on the chin and either learned from it or said, "Okay, that's not the way I want to be." But I didn't argue about it. Um, but I will crack somebody over the head. I did it 3, 4, 5 times today. Well, yesterday, online. And I'll do it in your face. See, I'll do it to your face. I'm not one of those that is this keyboard warrior crap that only does that online. And then when you're around me, I'm the opposite kind of person. No, I'm the same offline as I am online. I'm even crazier offline. Crazy. Crazy in a good way though. I've had people fly in. I used to have people fly in and want to meet me and as they were going through here. That was fun. I've got some stories. Got lots of stories about shit like that. Um, but I'm crazier than a bed bug, and I'm a lot of fun in person. So I didn't say that to mean I was some kind of scary black guy. I'm not. Um, but if you piss me off, yeah, I am. The tiger will come out. The lion will come out. Anyway, y'all enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll be hollering at you later. Peace.